Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to my first impression patch analysis of the latest 7.35 update. Very excited to talk about this. I haven't played any games yet, so it's just what I predict is gonna happen, how it's gonna feel, and etc. But I'll be making an update video after this, after playing around a bit with the patch and seeing what it's about, really. First off, before we read through the whole thing, I want to mention some overall trends that I've noticed. Now, a couple things. Cooldown reduction seems like is on the way out of Dota, which is something I'm really sad about. I really like this mechanic. I really like stacking cooldown reductions. I think it can make things interesting. I don't think it's that broken, and it can be balanced with mana costs, but whatever. Clearly Evolve doesn't feel that way because Quickening Charm is gone, Spell Prism is gone, Arcane Rune cooldown reduction percentage is decreased, and all in all it's just Octarine Core now. Second, many pure damage spells no longer do pure damage, which is quite interesting. But yeah, majority of them moved to magic, with some going actually into physical. Leading to the next point, there are more physical damage spells, which is also kind of an interesting change, because so far it's really just been Dazzle, Slardar, Bristleback, and that's about it. Alright, we're not counting things like Sleight of Fist, Swashbuckle, which are kind of on-hit effect spells, right? Quote-unquote spells that actually make you hit the guy. No, we're talking like a nuke just does a set amount of physical damage. That's what Slaughter's done is the best example of. At the same time, there are a lot more bonus armor sources, which is also interesting, I guess, to kind of counteract this. I noticed a lot of minor buffs to talents that nobody picks anyway, which is pretty weird to me, but we're gonna see some examples of that. There are more barriers, which potentially means a buff to offensive dispels, buff to nullifier, buff to disperser, which did get its build-up changed. In general, a lot of items have been changed in this patch, and a lot of items tend to give less damage and more attack speed. And lastly, it seems like, well, Ice Frog, hard to say. I would usually say Ice Frog, but I'm not really sure he's still working on Dota, judging by these changes. So again, we're gonna get into that as well. But it feels like Valve wants to move away from the convenient build-ups with disassembling and just being strong all the time, which I can get behind, right? Basically, a lot of the new components, a lot of the changed recipes have the common goal of forcing you to make a choice, right? You want to be strong now, cost-efficient items, or you want to be strong later with big items, right? You can't have it both ways with the whole Vanguard, Mana Boots, Octarine stuff that we saw so far. All right, so let's get into it. Now, general updates, we got some bounty changes, some creep changes, courier health, that's pretty interesting. 1 melee hero attack, a little bit of a buff to melee roaming supports like bounty, Riki, Treant potentially, right? The classic courier snipers. Watchers in the mine and well areas. Twin gates cost mana. Can't just jump back and forth all the time, but this one is pretty significant. Teleport times from 6 to 4 seconds in outposts. Gonna make Roche fights more interesting. Honestly, it's an even bigger advantage to the team that controls the outpost next to Roche. Tormentor can have less than 0 armor, so goodbye easy solo Tormentor with the TA Slaughter, etc. Looks like, once again, Valve wants to really make the Tormentors torment your team and be a team objective and not just have heroes that can solo it. Caponi Roshan thing's pretty interesting. The banner, it's long story short, it's a way for the winning team to push to have a much easier time pushing. Right, second Roche, if it's on Dire when it's killed, drops Roche banner. A banner which massively buffs your lane creeps, essentially, almost double health. And it lasts for 5 minutes. So it's kind of like mega creeps on demand. Except it can be destroyed, right? 45-second duration. I'm honestly not sure how long it takes the creeps to reach. I don't think you can put it in your, like, side lanes, no way. Mid lane is shorter. Maybe you could put it in your base and they still reach the enemy base. But most likely you have to put it somewhere outside of your base, which makes it vulnerable because it only takes 6 hero attacks to kill. Then the Roar of Retribution, basically a new ability. I believe this is, so he still has the clap as well. But bonus damage per minute 10. So at 50 minutes, this spell is doing 550 damage. Right, and it applies a debuff every 8 seconds on a giant AoE. So yeah, Roshan just becoming a little bit harder. And well, the most important thing is if the team that already killed him last time is killing him again, the Roar is going to be hurt globally. So it's kind of it kind of makes things easier for the other team to realize what's going on. Runes been changed and buffed, basically granting some extra effects. Spell amp on the DD, slightly lower right click damage, makes it more useful for casters. Invis Rune grants 25 damage reduction, plus 5 each cycle. I believe a cycle takes quite a while, so we're not really reaching massive amounts easily, but still. Haste Rune, bonus duration a little bit, cooldown on Arcane was nerfed, sadly. This one is very interesting though, no longer disabled by taking damage. Lowers the rate to 1%, which is a little less than Heart though, which is still pretty insane. Pretty massive buff for Storm, I would say, because it's, well, 1% mana is also pretty big. It can of course be dispelled offensively again. More reasons why offensive dispel is becoming stronger. So it's not that big of a deal, but yeah, a hero like Storm though can dodge these dispels, so it could be really nice for him. Some tree changes. This is like a lot of text for something that's actually super relevant because it's AoE bonus radius only provided by Bloodstone, and it's 50. 50 is nothing. Right, let me just show you guys real quick. Skip ahead. 75. Sorry, not 50. 75. Still, 75 is nothing. It's basically like, oh, we're buffing Leshrac a little bit. I don't know, they could have just given Lesh, because like who else buys Bloodstone and is like very happy about this? I guess Storm with the Ags worth it, but like you need to buy 10k worth of items to have a slightly better disable. It's shit. Some fixes. Alright, so the new items, this is what we talked about. Basically, Ring of the Rask, Tiara of Selemene. Super expensive, 1.8k gold. It's definitely not worth the cost, the benefit you're getting. This is just to make the build-up of certain items worse. For example, Heart of the Rask, which obviously is built with Ring of the Rask, you know, makes sense. Kanda, the long-awaited upgrade to Phylactery. I'm glad they didn't combine Phylactery with Aetherlens like a lot of people wanted. That would have been pretty lame, I would say, kind of too good. This is interesting. It's like all in on damage. It's really, it's still quite niche, right? Because how many right clickers also want HP, mana, and all stats and have a spell that can benefit from this? I've written down a little bit of a list. Morphling and Omni Knight seem like two of the main users. PA, I tried it, felt kind of bad. Wind Ranger, in theory, sounded kind of cool because she's universal, benefits from all stats and stuff, and you have both Shackle Shot and ulti to proc it, but again, they're not that spammable. Skywrath, but really though, crit, Skywrath, right click damage, Bristle, I guess Bristle could be pretty happy about this. Obviously gets Jin damage thanks to his ult. Spirit Breaker potential. I mean, you really want other items on Spirit Breaker, but the fact that you can globally apply this late game with like some part of your attack damage, it's still kind of bad. Because keep in mind, Phylactery. I don't know if this is an oversight or what, but the bonus damage from Phylactery is 150, not 100. So it goes from 150 to it's lowered by 50, and then it adds your attack damage, which, yeah, it's gonna be more than 50, but the difference isn't that big. Like, you're not reaching Dagon levels. And just for reference, the one hero that I immediately thought of that does get massive amounts of damage, right? Tiny, obviously. Guess what? It doesn't work with his toss, even though it's a target spell. It doesn't work with his tree throw either. So, pretty shit. Because Tiny is the only hero like you're reaching 300-400 damage, and this 75% could represent, like, add it up, it could almost become like a Dagon's worth, but still not. So yeah, fuck it. Parasma. I don't know if it's pronounced like that, but pretty interesting. It's kind of like it's the build-up of the old Revenant's Brooch, but now instead of having the magic hits, it's just all your attacks apply minus magic resistance debuff, which, alright, I mean, it's fine. There's obviously some heroes, like this is the item for intelligence right clickers, although OD wouldn't benefit too much because, well, obviously his orb is pure. Silencer, right, like intelligence right clickers, there aren't many. Storm, I don't know. And the other idea is to potentially combo this with the other new item. Let me scroll down a little bit. Basically the new Phantom's Revenant's Brooch, sorry, with the active Phantom Province. But so this gives spell damage and it gives right click damage and spell lifesteal, so that when you toggle it, your attacks deal fully magic. It's kind of the old effect, but it's toggle now, no hit limit. Do magic damage, hit ethereal units, and you're lifestealing off of them because you have spell lifesteal, which is nice. But it's like, what heroes, because this is the combo, right? Like, you deal magic damage with your hits and you make them deal extra magic with this. But what hero is really gonna benefit from this, right? Like the old combo with E-Blade and the old Brooch, that was potentially something you could do in Storm. So I thought Storm, but then Storm, you want mana. Do you really want to buy an item that's gonna make you use up mana with every hit? It seems bad. Maybe I'm missing a hero that this could work on, but honestly I'm not really seeing it so far. Winter Wyvern, I guess, is the other obvious one, because he used to use these the old Brooch as well, but then why did they make her universal, you know? I don't know. But yeah, I suppose Winter late game with Ags and this and the Brooch and 20k worth of net worth, she becomes strong. But what else? Medallion is gone, pretty big one. Quarterstaff is gone. Ring of Health no longer in the secret shop. Voidstone as well. The ring and the tiara take their place. Javelin cheaper. Kinda nice for the Javelin rush on Wind Ranger mid. I'm happy about that. Ultimate Orb, that was an interesting one. 2.8k, hella expensive. Plus 15 stats though, and basically no longer double orb for Skadi, which we'll get to. Arcane Boots reworked. This one is interesting. Cost unchanged, build up easier, but it's all about mana regen now, no longer mana pool. And you can all be disassembled. Goes back to what I mentioned, changing the disassemble stuff. Bloodthorn. This is a lot of a lot of text. I'll save you guys the trouble. I read it, thought about it. Basically, long story short, no defensive component, magic resistance, etc. Does have the the passive piercing effect of Javelin, which is nice. You're keeping the old 100% True Strike obviously on the active. Attack speed bonus is bigger though, plus 100, which is pretty good for a lot of heroes. And the biggest one, Soul Rend, causes all attacks against the target to deal 60 bonus magic damage, which is absolutely insane for a hero like Visage, whatever you want to call him. The familiars should, like, they hit really fast. They hit like 3-4 times per second. So I haven't tested it, but this should destroy here. We could test it in a little bit. Butterfly, more expensive and essentially gives more attack speed. This is like a new effect. So the more agi you have, the more attack speed it gives you. Pretty weird change. I mean, who gets a lot of agi benefits? Draw range or Morphling, but not many others. I suppose on Faceless Void, right, it could give you a little bit extra attack speed. A little bit more than before. But you would need to have like, what, 150 agi to match the old Butterfly's attack speed. I don't know, it seems weird to me. Crystallis, different build-up, well, worse build-up essentially, because Claymore is more expensive. Disperser, now Eagle Song instead of Demon Edge. So no raw damage, but more agi. So agi heroes are obviously happy. Sniper, Disperser build, Nagas, Lancers, but yeah, the rest not so much. Rapier gives Spell Amp. Pretty cool idea, I like it. Honestly, I would have also liked the Spell Amp number to be a little bit higher, but it's reasonable. Like, first you gotta think of when you're balancing this is Zeus, and obviously the risk factor you have when you're a carry buying Rapier and you're right clicking, like, you gotta get close. And when you have magic casters who can use spells from 2k range away or globally, it's a different story. So I understand why it's 25, but I think a tad more would have been nice, maybe 35. Echo Saber changed, different build-up. Basically we have a bunch of changes that reduce the stats on items, not as good on Universal Hero basically. But it's slightly better for Strength Heroes. Eternal Shroud, pretty strange changes. They fixed the whole calculating the damage, magic damage taken after reductions, which was real weird, because like you take less damage, then you're regening less mana because of it. Now it's before reductions, so that's cool. But then instead of keeping the high bonus, they dropped it to 25, and now, again, long story short, the more magic damage you take, the more magic resistance you get. This kind of weird Huskar-ish mechanic. Although stack duration is independent, so it's not that easy to build it up. And it only lasts for 8 seconds. I feel like this is overall a nerf. Like whoever was thinking this, because the damage comes in bursts, right? You wanna... It's like you're halfway through the fight and you're with less than half HP left, and wow, now you have not 35 bonus, but 50 bonus. Okay, but it's late already. You'd rather just have this flat the whole time, I feel. E-Blade, this is a big one. Now it feels like every support's gonna be walking around with an E-Blade now, because it builds from Lens and Ghost Scepter, right? Traditionally, items bought by a lot of supports, right? Immediately you're thinking Oracles, Lions, Shamans, right? Cast range hungry supports that also enjoy the defensive benefits of Ghost Scepter. All of a sudden you can combine those into an E-Blade. Pretty interesting. I'm not sure how I feel about this change, but it could be fun. It's still nice for cores that want to buy it, like let's say Magic Lina, right? Or maybe like Puck, E-Blade Dagon stuff. But it's more defensive now, and usually they would have preferred the offensive bonuses of Spell Amp, which you're now missing. No Kaya in it. Skadi kind of nerfed quite hard. Buildup is worse, and the attack speed reduction is, I don't know, like, why just remove it if you don't, if like, what's the point of reducing it to 10, 20? What is 10% attack speed reduction? It's so irrelevant. If you're gonna reduce it then this much, just make it 0. I don't know, like, simplify shit a little bit. I don't think every item needs to be giving like a bajillion bonuses and like 2% move speed and 5% this, like, if it's gonna have an effect, make it impactful, and if it's not gonna be impactful, then just remove the effect. Gleipnir affected by Maelstrom change, because Maelstrom now gives, did we? No, it's, yeah, it's alphabetical, kind of weird. Maelstrom now gives attack speed, so Gleipnir does as well. Greaves reflecting the mana boost change. More mana if your allies are low HP. I guess it could come in clutch, but pretty meh. Harpoon, obviously following the Echo Saber changes. Better for strength heroes, worse for... well, it's actually kind of the same for universal heroes, because you're losing 6 int, but you're gaining 5 strength, so... And then you're losing 10 attack speed, gaining 10 damage. Heart, a significantly worse build-up, and slightly less HP you're getting. No longer grants the plus 250. It still grants a lot. I believe the Reaver, the Reaver gives 25. Actually, I'm gonna embarrass myself saying some wrong numbers. Is it 30 or 35? 35, okay. Which is still a ton of HP. 770 health, right? But yeah, it's not 1k now. It's 770. Overlord no longer involves Vlad's aura. This is actually what it initially was, I think, when they added this item. They changed it, now they're changing it back. It's kind of nice for the zoo heroes because they're all universal, so they get a lot of damage out of it. It's massive stat boost. But looks like Vlad's is kind of a difficult item to balance. Like, either it doesn't build into anything, it's not already bought, or it builds into something and then they feel like it's too good. Locket, I'm gonna kind of skip over some of these because they're really not that important, and I'm trying to keep the video from being 10 hours long. So nothing too significant, slight nerfs to items that contain ulti orb. Manta style changed, also doesn't contain ultimate orb anymore. It's just Yasha diadem and a massive recipe, which is an interesting change. Honestly, I feel like this was meant to be a nerf, but it's gonna be more of a buff instead, because before you would just always buy the Yasha, and then by the time you have ulti orb, you're always gonna save up for the 500 gold recipe as well and just get them both. Now you're gonna have the Yasha, and then you're also gonna pick up the diadem, and sometimes you might even pick up the diadem before the Yasha. So you're gonna have 2 stat items for longer value, getting value out of them before finishing the full item. So kind of interesting. Yeah, I feel like this was actually also a buff to universal heroes particular that go Manta, because they can get quick diadem and then enjoy the massive bonus damage. Mage Slayer, no bonus damage, but it does give way more attack speed, and the debuff now does some DPS. And if I'm not mistaken, it doesn't build into anything anymore. Yeah, which is also kind of interesting. And I feel like this is lame because if it's not going to build into anything, the only heroes that are really going to want to buy it are heroes like Ember, Pango, that can apply it to a lot of people at the same time, right, with this area of effect hits. But then those heroes won't damage, they won't attack speed, so you remove the damage. It's kind of... But they did give it the DPS on the debuff, so I guess that kind of makes up for it. I guess this could still be a pretty solid pickup on Ember Pango. Mask of Madness, less attack speed, more damage. Broadsword instead of quarterstaff, essentially. Nothing Major removed medallion. Meteor hammer. Okay, this is a big one I want to talk about. This is now the new Kaya item. The item that gives 75% mana regen amp. For those of you who didn't know, Kaya always gave 50 mana regen amp, and so did all the Kaya Sanji Yashikaya. And only E-Blade gives 75, and now instead of E-Blade, that's Meteor Hammer. Now, which hero cares the most about mana regen? Well, it's Storm Spirit. So I don't know if this means gotta try it, like Meteor Hammer Storm. That could be kind of interesting. It's not really gonna use it in fights, but you can siege with it, and I think you could do some cool trick shot stuff where you you can hammer while zipping for safe sieging. That could be cool. So yeah, on the other hand, this was what, like, all the casters are just gonna go hammer now to get spell amp. All the caster cores. It feels weird. It feels weird now, this item. Still gives a little bit of all stats. So here's like Tide will be happy, but it's just significantly more expensive, so it's harder to rush on the laning stage. And it doesn't give any HP regen. Mjolnir, more attack speed, and Octarine, I think I mentioned, Tiara now instead of double Void Stone, so the build-up is just that little bit harder, and it's just a little bit more expensive. Orb of Corrosion, big change. A new source of heal, regen, lifesteal, etc. reduction. 20%, not massive, but not little. It's half a vessel essentially. But the item is very cheap, so it's a big one. It's a nice one. It's like it's a way to deal with the massive regen heroes, the Necros, the Bristles, the Alchemists and stuff. I suppose you could say it's a little bit of a nerf to them because yeah, it's a very cheap source now of regen reduction, and it no longer builds from Blightstone though. Instead, it's slightly more defensive, gives attack speed. It's strange, I don't know. We'll have to see. I'm not sure who's gonna buy this, but I guess it's still quite nice on Lifestealer, for example. He likes attack speed. Orchid, total cost unchanged, just a slightly smoother build-up now. Going back to the old days, builds from Oblivion Staff. Pavis or Pavis, whatever you want to call it. Now is the new energy booster item, so a lot more attractive supports. Phylactery, super minor change, just doesn't have the random Sage Mask, no mana regen. Cloak nerfed yet again, even more expensive. This item used to cost less than 3k, now it's approaching 4k gold. I guess inflation hits Dota as well. Build-up is worse, cost is higher, it does give slightly more regen though. Pressure, total cost unchanged, but yeah, the build-up is a little bit more difficult with these super high cost components. The Brooch, we talked about. Sacred Relic, I mean, this is just an item that, it's a carry item mostly. I like the overall idea because it's accessible to a lot of carries, and it just gives you more options, allows you to deal with the massive influx of armor that's coming from other places now in this patch. Hex changed, kind of gutted for Universal Heroes, kind of feels bad, man. I really like playing, Wind Ranger, getting Hex, getting a bajillion damage. But essentially losing now, instead of getting 55 total stats, you're getting 30. Ouch, it's like half. So it's more of a caster item now. Feel like they should have buffed the active then in that case, but whatever. Shiva's now seems pretty insane, like OP. It builds from Veil. We just talked about like easy build-ups. Well, guess what? You can now just get a Veil and then later turn it into a Shiva. Gives all stats, and it gives 20 armor instead of 15, which is insane. I mean, there's no item that gives, like, 15 was the highest you could get from a single item. And it was from Shiva's, and it was from AC. 10 base plus the 5 aura. So Shiva's officially the highest armor you can get from a single item. In fact, it's 21 because you're also getting 8 agi. This seems pretty ridiculous. I feel like this item, again, there's certain heroes that any hero with spells that goes in, just gonna benefit massively from this. Excited to try Ember with Shivas. Yeah, so that's a pretty interesting change. Silver Edge, slightly worse build-up, was expected, it's nice, no longer critting. I have to think a little bit harder rather than just making this item the default better version of Daedalus that you could just buy in every single fucking carry. Solar, way different now, no longer offensive, purely defensive. Doesn't really say, it says additionally, so I feel, does it still give the attack speed? Yeah, it still gives the attack speed, so it's pretty sick, but yeah, it's purely support item now. No longer kind of a nerf to Visage, but he has some other options now. So purely support item, but it's a hella strong support item. I mean, look at what you're giving your ally. You're giving him 7 armor, 70 attack speed, 50 move speed, and a 400 HP barrier. It still feels like a fucking must item. I don't see like why, as a support, you would go this into Solar every single game. Have this into Solar. Lastly, Witchblade, yeah, a little small change, Oblivion Staff, more attack speed, whatever. Neutral items, I want to kind of skim through. This one seems pretty busted though. HP barrier and health regen. Right, this 100 HP barrier is not much, but it can allow you to not get your blink cancelled. It's kind of like a free raindrop. The Royal Jelly returned. It's really weird. It's like a free bottle that, but it works slower. So it's more like free Salve plus Clarity that recharges passively. Weird. I don't like it. Dumbledore's Toy was OP, busted out. I mean, cycled out. Like Collector, interesting. Health, 6 health, 3 mana, and if you're not near trees, they're doubled. Plus 10% move speed seems pretty sweet, and you can destroy trees. It's like a fuck you to Nature's Prophet. But yes, 12 health in the day, 6 mana. What makes it balanced, you don't really choose when to get which region, but it's still nice, still very strong. Let's continue. Whisper the Dread, this one's pretty sick. 10% spell amp, but you lose a little bit of vision. But honestly, who cares? 15% vision. It's not the biggest deal, and it doesn't affect you at all in the night. And 10% spell amp is pretty massive, so definitely think it's gonna see a lot of use. The Bloon also seems pretty sweet for a lot of heroes. I mean, max mana, I don't think anybody's going for max mana except maybe OD, but even OD it seems shit. But converting max mana to health is a big one. There's loads of heroes that would love this. Offlaners you just buy Octarine, you have way more mana than you know what to do with, and then you get this, and all of a sudden you have just giant amounts of HP. This one also seems pretty insane. You take 8% more damage from everything, which hurts, yeah, but if you're a carry that doesn't, or a hero that doesn't want to get hit in the first place, it doesn't really matter. And the attack supply debuff amps all damage taken. I don't know if you guys realize how strong this is. There are very, very few sources of this effect in the game. Think of Undying's ult, but that's a melee support hero that needs to attack you to apply this effect. Then there's Shadow Demon's Disseminate, in a way, kind of, doesn't really exactly do this. But yeah, long story short, this effect is really strong. Again, I feel like heroes that can apply this easily from range, like PA, Ember again, like this seems pretty insane. 12%, just 12% of all damage. It's really good. Craggy Coat returned, budget in armor at the cost of move speed again, massive sources of armor. 6 passively, then another 12. Crying about Quickening Charm. Ancient Guardian, loads of damage, it's kind of like a Hail Mary. Allows you to win some comeback fights at your Ancient potentially. I mean, 100 damage is 100 damage, but yeah. Very situational, I would say. This one seems Viana's Feather. Evasion, move speed, and flying movement if you're low HP. Like that's really good. But I feel like it's also quite abusable by some heroes that don't mind being low HP, right? Think Huskars. Well, I guess that's about it. I don't know. Okay, so it's maybe not that easy to abuse, but supports with this, like imagine trying to kill support, they get low, they glimmer, they get flying movement. It can be quite nice. Rattle Cage, I don't know if this thing does not have a cooldown, it's super OP. If it does, well then they should have fucking written down what it is. Let's see. Because otherwise, if there's no limit, that means like late game, you're just enemies trying to burst you, you take 2k damage, and what you fire fucking 20 projectiles. It seems a bit ridiculous if it works like that. And then tier 5 items, I mean, yeah, they seem crazy, but I don't think they impact the game that much. Magic Lamp, obviously OP. This one is really really cool. I like the concept. I'm just a little sad it's tier 5, so I don't think you're like really gonna see it much. But basically being practically immune to magic damage while having your health set to a pretty low amount. It's a cool concept. It's a cool concept. Alright. On to the heroes. Now, a lot of heroes have received what I would call useless and fluff changes. Yeah, small number changes can make a big difference, and I'm well aware of Ice Frog's method of balancing back in the day. I've read so many patch notes, dozens of major patches, and so I'm confidently saying that the numbers here, this is not Ice Frog's style. That's why I think he's not really working on this game anymore, because a lot of these changes are absolutely inconsequential and useless, and it just feels like changing a number for the sake of changing it. But you'll see what I mean. This the Abaddon stuff is kind of cool. Bonus DPS on your passive, but I don't think this is what he was really looking for. But it's magic damage, I assume, so it's kind of nice for pushing. But then again, it's way lower on buildings, so I don't think it's a big deal. This is not really what the hero needs, but whatever. This is one of those fluff changes. 10 mana cost. This hero doesn't have mana issues in the first place. And half second duration, okay, who cares. This one is cool though. This is a pretty major buff. I really like it. Yeah, the duration on Vortex was cool, but the nerf to the ulti duration really hurts, and plus 5 seconds is big. Like, there's lots of situations where, I mean, this is what you pick the hero for, basically. And going for difference between, what is it now? Oops. Just a second, alright. And going from 10 to 15 is massive, right? Especially because it used to be 12. AM, another fluff change, like I mentioned, just does nothing. Nobody takes these talents anyway. You're gonna go blink cooldown and 0.4% change. Like, come on, 0.05. Like, it just makes me mad to see this. Yeah, again, Ice Frog used to make similar small number changes, but they were for things that really mattered. Arc Warden, same. 25 talent, 2 seconds lower. Like, come on, man. This one is irrelevant. Axe. This feels like it could be potentially pretty broken. I don't know what they were thinking. Like, so when you successfully called someone before, you would get a bunch of attack speed, everybody around you, and move speed. And now, instead of the attack speed, it's armor. But just look at the numbers. 30 armor. Gaining 30 armor. It's it's ridiculous. Like it's so much reduction. Even if you have 0 armor, like going from 0 to 30, all of a sudden you're very tanky against physical damage. Going from an average like 15 or so to 45, like it's so hard to kill a guy with 45 armor with physical. So I feel like these numbers are way overtuned, because like the equivalent of 40 attack speed, just think about it in terms of price, it will be about 10 armor, maybe 15 armor, right? And the equivalent of 30 armor is like 100 attack speed or more. So like 120 attack speed, I don't know. So whoever picked these numbers, I feel like they did, they made a strange decision here. I don't know if the idea was to buff Axe this massively. Some small buffs to Bane. Overall, I noticed a lot more buffs than nerfs. Small buffs to Bat. Yeah, again, to keep the video from being 1 million hours, I'm gonna go straight to the most relevant and significant changes. Yeah, actually, I'm a fan of Core Bane, and I feel like this buff, combined with the Maelstrom giving attack speed, might make him pretty strong. Might make a mid-Bane guide soon. I feel like it's really strong now. So I'm gonna skim through the insignificant changes. Small buff to Beast, small buffs to Bat, cooldown on Firefly is kind of cool. Kind of buff-ish to Bloodseeker. Bloodrite going from pure to magical, less damage versus heroes, but it does one-shot range creeps now at max level quite easily, especially if you spell amp yourself with the Blood Rage. So it's kind of a farming buff. Bounty, pretty crazy talent, no cooldown Janada. Late game, core bounty could do some crazy stuff, right? Like you get to hit the guy, you just remove his buyback, right? Because you're stealing gold on every hit. Could be pretty sick. Bounty becoming the new Necro, right? Denying buybacks. This is another fluff change. Like, come on, what is this? From 270 to 250 at max level, from 8, like, why? It's just so that there can be notes about Brew, but it doesn't actually do anything. Bristle, okay, slightly more significant nerfs. He's pretty happy about the attack speed though, I feel. Because the damage was, like, getting 20 damage talent when your ult gives you over 100, over 300 in the late game. It's like, what the fuck? But 25 is nice attack speed. Because he lacks attack speed, obviously. Centaur, minus 30 damage at level 1, whoop-de-doo, 5%. Again, these bullshit changes, CK, lifestealing, marginally less. Chen, significant change. Again, another spell that suddenly gives gigantic amounts of armor. You can cast the passive aura that gives passive regen. You can cast it to give somebody 24 armor for 6 seconds. Alright. Weird. Ulti got nerfed. I mean, it's strong, but it's like, why do a bunch of spells suddenly give huge amounts of armor? Or to make the new Revenant's Brooch relevant? Revenant? Yeah. Sorry about that. So, Clink's nothing massive. Like, you're gonna change one spell of the hero, and that spell is gonna be the spell that he gets from his shard. This one is significant though. First of all, strength gain, a lot HP plus damage because he's a universal hero. 0.3 is like enters the amount of being relevant. It's like essentially, well, level 10 is gonna have 3 strength more, which is not massive, but it's not nothing. And this is obviously the big one. No longer self-stun after duration. Makes the Ags a lot stronger, makes Battle Clockwork stronger. It slows your attack and move speed. Obviously, you still can't fight and stuff, but you're not stunned. You can TP out, you can blink out, you can do a lot of things that you can't do if you're stunned, obviously. So, pretty big buff. I like this. CM. You can kill your own clone, but okay. So you use the shard and destroy it with Nova and you freeze people. It's, for me, I feel like shard effects should either be nerfed if they're OP or changed if they're weak. But like, it just seems lame to have, again, this is a fluff change from 6 to 7, okay. So she gets, what, half a mana regen more. 0.5 mana, fucking useless. So the only real change to being of the hero shard is kind of weird to me. More fluff changes, 10 mana cost less, small DPS, small damage. Willow getting the permanent Shadow Realm nerfed, both, so the durations and cooldowns got nerfed in previous patches, and now the talent also gets nerfed. So it's also, with no longer having Quickening Charm and Prism, it's basically impossible now to get permanent Shadow Realm unless you're getting some help, right? Like Arcane Rune or maybe Kodo on your team. Dawnbreaker relevant. Dazzle, obviously relevant, it's just got fucking destroyed. This is weird, again, I get it, you don't want CDR, okay, but you gotta give the hero something else. Because they just murdered him. Right, fuck the denying thing. Bad Juju doesn't affect item cooldowns. Well, okay, why pick Dazzle then? No. It's certainly never gonna be picked as a core, and it's not that strong of a support anymore either. So it's weird to me. Silence Slows, pretty nice buff for DP. Pretty significant. Easy to apply this to a lot of heroes. Disruptor, fluff, 50 radius, whatever, who cares. Doom no longer makes a hero deniable. Okay, but it's not like... it's really not something that you think about as Doom. So... not very relevant. DK, small buff. Your Breathe Fire is gonna do more damage when you hit 6, and it's gonna slow when you hit level 18. Okay, nice. Doesn't really change much about the hero. For Drow, pretty significant. The talent is now built in. Gust reveals Invis. That's cool. Not many heroes can reveal Invis innately. And she has a built-in lifesteal talent now, which is a pretty big deal. Not many carries have that. And you can Glacier while multi-shotting. This is another one of those fluff changes just annoy me. Plus 5 damage. Okay, it's per unit hero, but come on, man. And plus 5 mana cost minus, like, same shit. Whoops. Ember, I'm so sad that they didn't revert the cast point stuff. I guess they're really doubling down. It's like literally the opposite. Everybody's saying make the hero fun, remove the cast point, nerf his damage if you have to, nerf everything else, but just make him fun to play, and that's why I agree with that. And they just did the exact opposite. They buff his damage to make up for the fact that he feels clunky, awkward now to play with the Remnant. But whatever, it's one of my favorite heroes. I'm gonna give him a try. I think the new items, like I mentioned, Shiva's really good for him, but we'll have to see. Still, this is pretty nice though. 3 people in the chains. Laning stage, in general, this is a pretty significant buff, bigger than it looks. And small nerfs to the creep is less tanky. Enigma, this is pretty weird. Health increased. Like, on paper it sounds cool, but like when you do the math, what you need to have 3000 HP as Enigma to give 120 HP to your animals. Like, come on. Again, if you're gonna add some effect, then like, would it really hurt if it was 10%? Or even 8, I don't know, like. And this is a quality of life change. And Midnight Pulse can now actually kill people, I guess, but not really. I mean, it's not something that came out, but yeah, 20 base damage. More fluff, like, come on, man. DPS per cooldown from 6 to 1 DPS, guys. 1 DPS. Who came up with this? It's... And nobody takes this talent anyway. Like... Oh. Grimstroke significantly nerfed. And rightfully so. Oh, it's not that significant. Like 10 seconds cooldown here. Slightly less damage and heal. 1 second cooldown. Some medium nerfs for Grimstroke, but they're deserved. Gyro, this one I'm a fan of Gyro, one of my favorite heroes, and this change is really cool. Essentially turns it into a little bit more of a skill shot. If you target it correctly, the rockets will... there are 2 parts where the same hero can get hit by 2 rockets if they're standing still, if they're stunned by your missile. Maybe this is calls for Gleipnir Gyro, could be cool. And the damage then is pretty sick, because at level 3 you manage to hit the guy with 2 rockets. That's 1.1k damage. It's nothing to scoff at, and generally you're covering a much bigger area. There's no more little slow, all the rockets slow massively, so it's a really nice buff. Happy about this. I think it's relevant for both carry and support Gyro, and we're bringing back the airstrike, the level 25 talent, which it's not the biggest deal, but it's not insane as far as, you know, 25 talents go. It's okay, it's not bad, but it's just really fun, like airstrike, and you can globally clear a creep wave, which why not? Especially if you get that rapier spell amp, right, to boost this 550 to, you know, enough to one-shot creep waves. This spell I feel like has been buffed a million patches in a row now. 160. I don't know. I like playing Core Hoodwink from time to time. It's fun. I don't think it's too strong, but it's fun. But significantly more damage on both spells. It's cool. Lull, 1 damage less for Invoker. IO Tether cancels Dagger now. Cool. Who cares? You can dodge Dual Breath slightly more easily if you're close to the Jakiro. Cool. Jugger, significant change. Now, I have yet to test this. I can show this in the demo. Actually, okay, let's do some demo demonstrations. So, let's show a typical Jugger build. Right, MKB, Mjolnir, over 500 attack speed, and this is the damage you're dealing with Spin. All the shard does is increase the radius and the slow, by the way. And it adds a little bit of slow effect. So even a level 30 Jug with loads of attack speed can't kill this guy. Like, come on, this is the max potential. It's so shit, because the old Blade Fury with old talents would definitely kill him. So this feels like it needs to be revisited for sure. And just for the theory, imagine you have the maximum possible attack speed on Jug, 850. This is the full potential. Okay, nice, 1.5k damage, but it's barely more than what you had before, and before you didn't have to do anything other than take talents, so it's trash for me. Alright. A bunch of keeper changes. The biggest thing, I could see some epic spell spam happening here, which kind of goes against the whole CDR that they were going for. Recall casts Chakra Magic on both Keeper and the ally upon TPing. So if you chakra so you start channeling the Recall, your ally uses their spell. You channel the Recall when you're next to them, to make it clear. Ally uses their spell. You chakra them. They use the spell again. Recall happens, or whatever, the cooldown gets reduced. The Recall happens. They get chakra'd a second time. You get chakra'd, so your chakra spell gets refreshed. You can use it again, and you can chakra them a third time. So, long story short, you can burst 3 chakra magics, which can be pretty sick for certain combos. Particularly, I'm thinking here Terrorblade, who got the talent. So the good old Terrorblade Keeper the light combo. Let's show that. So you gotta have a keeper. All you need for this is the shard. Don't need that much more. I don't think you need any talents. Yeah, you don't even have to take the chakra talent. And let's get a Terror Blade. And let's just see how much we can reduce his meta cooldown. So imagine he already has the... So it's 70 duration, 130 cooldown. Now here's the combo that I'm talking about. We start recalling him. Chakra him. He gets another chakra. What happened? I was supposed to chakra myself. It didn't work. Okay, I guess it's bugged. But anyway, we chakra him again. I mean, this is an old school combo, but basically you do a couple chakras and he's gonna have guaranteed permanent metamorphosis, which is cool. But why didn't it work with the recall though? Like, I should get chakra on myself now, right? I should. Aha, okay, so it works on everything except the chakra itself. Okay, fuck it. It's not. It's kind of cool, but not that much.
The light shines.
Back to the rest. Torrent Storm basically got it, I believe. Minimum spawn distance decreased. Alright, let's show that as well, why not? So now it's a lot more RNG. I believe that this is what it means. The talent is also gone for bonus radius, so it doesn't really matter what. Yeah, it doesn't matter what you do, but let's see. Big chance that the torrents overlap. So it's good. I mean, it's not completely destroyed. I guess it's just, yeah, it's more RNG. There's a big chance that you don't actually hit everybody that you want to. You can see he actually got hit by only one torrent here from the full torrent storm, even though I waved him, so yeah. Deserved nerf. The Aquapark was a bit too strong. This is a nice quality of life change. Now, instead of taking the talent, you can just buy the shard when you want more damage. It applies retroactively. That's pretty cool. Which opens you up to grab the other level 10 Legion talent, which, let me just check what it was. Okay, no, it's also pretty trash. Minus 2 seconds alt cooldown. But you get a bit more move speed than the new talent, move speed on press the attack, whatever. Lash, small change, just attack speed slow, laning strength, whatever. Relevant changes, this one is like really minus 6 from 15 to 9, whatever. Lina, Magic Lina got dumpstered. Again, pure damage removed. No more Laguna Bait pure damage. This talent is so bad, and I can't believe what kind of 25 talent. Nobody's gonna take this. You're still gonna go for Laguna cooldown at least. 150 crit. If they've been affected by Dragon Slave, it lasts so short, and all of the reward you're getting is this shitty ass crit. Like, this would be bad even as a level 10 or 15 talent, but as a 25 it's super bad. And you're losing the spell amp, right? Okay, you get the stacks, but you're losing spell amp. Spell amp always gonna be better. With the E-Blade changes as well, yeah. Basically, no more one-shot Lina. You can still play Magic Lina, but it's gonna be a lot more about... It's gonna be quite different, I think. A lot more spammy, which is weird, goes against the other idea, but yeah. Meteor Hammer Lina, that's the strat now. Lion, the shard, memes, they're alive. Now deals damage. Yeah, quite rare for a 25 talent to just become part of the spell just like that. And you can now double it at 25. Can be cool. Can be cool, especially with the shard. Small nerf to LD. Lower armor on bear level 1. It's nice. Level 2 as well, actually. It's nice. Makes hitting it viable on the mid lane. Mag. This shit, I tested it. It's pretty much the exact same amount of damage. It's just lower damage if you do it on the same spot. But whatever. This talent is slowly becoming pretty sick though. Plus 10 all stats per hero hit and RP. That's plus 21 damage because he's universal. That's even more because you're gonna be empowered. So, and it's attack speed on top of that also, don't forget that. So if you hit like 2 heroes even, you're getting about 50 damage and 20 attack speed, which is, it's pretty relevant. And not to mention, if you hit 5 heroes, like, you're guaranteed to kill them with right clicks, almost. Small Marcy, come on, 10 damage, really, like, what rebound, impact, 310, why guys, why, what is this? Huge buffs to Mars, very happy about this. Basically, the combo that used to be very difficult, spear into Arena of Blood, which gives them no time to react to blink spear, drop the blood, Arena of Blood, and they get speared onto the wall. That's now very easy to do and basically reliable. It used to not be reliable. You used to need like Yol Arcane Blink or Aether Lance. Now it's easy. So pretty significant buffs to Mars. It's fun. Yeah, it's a cool hero. I like him. Medusa, this split shot percentage have been going back and forth for the last 10 patches, I feel. +5, -5, +10, -10. Yeah. Small buff to Meepo farming, I think. Magical makes it better versus creeps because the number is bigger. Creeps don't have magic resistance anyway. So Meepo farms slightly faster. Mirana, I don't know why they're like so adamant about keeping the shard. I think the shard sucks. Wish they would change it. I like Mirana. Feels like she's been really bad for a while. Wish they would change her shard and her Ags as well, but I guess not gonna happen. This talent is kind of nice though. It's better than it scales better than the 45 damage, especially at that point. Bunch of pretty nice buffs for Monkey, with one small nerf being the tree distance jump decreased by 200, but you could jump more often, so less far with each jump, but you're jumping more often. And then the rest is just small number buffs. Nerf to ulti damage, and you can now toggle it and it doesn't prioritize heroes. So it's a nerf overall, but I don't understand why you would toggle it. This is something that I'm missing. The only thing I can think of is like in team fight, there's a guy with blade mail. You don't want your gunslinger to accidentally hit the guy with blade mail, so you toggle. But then it seems weird. It seems weird. Fluff change, useless. Okay, he lost some mana regen, alright. Okay, Necro spell costs 15 more mana at level 1. Alright, but it's not like Necro has mana issues, so I don't think this is too important. 5 mana cost, like, come on, man. This is what I'm talking about. This is just like changing numbers for the sake of changing numbers. At a certain level, the spell costs 5 mana less. Okay. Quality of life change, not super impactful though. This one is like, it's a nerf to late game. Kinda sad about losing that spell, but 75 vendetta damage just makes your early game that much stronger though. It's nice, pure. One of the few spells that remain pure. The talent, the bonus DPS from the talent is decreased by 1. If this isn't like mocking whoever's reading these patch notes, I don't know what is. Guardian Angel, now single target. I believe though we can no longer use it on buildings, so otherwise that'll be cool, like a targeted single target glyph with axe, that would be really nice, but no, I think it doesn't work like that. So overall feels like, I mean, it's nerfed his team fight, but it makes his but allows him to fight more often and use it solo. So it can be fun, I guess. It can be nice. Slight Oracle buff nerf. This one seems a little overtuned. 60 bonus damage or heal per effect dispelled with your Q. Just think about it, in the late game, it's not uncommon for your ally to be debuffed by 5 things at the same time. And that means the spell's all of a sudden gonna heal them for 300. Seems pretty massive to me. And again, the amount of things they can be debuffed by can be a lot more. If you're facing like Bat, Jakiro, Veno, that kind of lineup, whew. OD gets free Spell Vamp, which is his version of Lifesteal, pretty nice. First Pango buffs in forever, feels like. No longer need to take a talent for the 3-second shield crash. You get it automatically at 18, a little bit later, granted, but you can now combine it with the bonus ulti duration talent, which is really cool. That combination you couldn't have before until level like 28, and now you can have it at 18, which is nice. And it's physical, so that's a slight nerf in terms of damage, but at least it combos with his minus armor passive. BA fans in shambles, no longer getting lifesteal on the blink. That really hurts. Maybe not so much the farming, but it does mean you need to actually buy lifesteal now at some point. And also Phantom Ice, once again, pure damage removed, changed to physical. But I agree with it, it was a bit too OP, in my opinion. These changes are kind of relevant, nobody bought this to increase the movement slow. Again, who's even looking at this? Who's gonna take, well, Icarus, DPS, whatever. The Primal Beast rock throw that you, despite seeing Primal Beast almost every game, you rarely see this shard being bought because it's trash. And now the rock is gonna arrive 0.2 seconds faster. Alright guys. 1 second, this is one of those rare occasions where the number 1 actually matters. 1 second lower cooldown or orb. Pretty big deal for a hero like Puck. But I still don't think it massively changes anything about the hero. Buffing the talents that nobody takes anyway. The alternative to this armor is massively increasing the slow, much stronger. The alternative to this talent is free spell lifesteal, much stronger in most cases. Yeah, this brings up the hook's damage to 500 pure. I guess for support punch you can make a case, but spell lifesteal lets you sustain, lets you push more easily. It's still better most. Small buff. Small nerf, sorry, not small buff to Pugna. Small rework to Quap. Ag's a little bit worse, the rest of the hero a little bit better with talents. Razor, relevant changes. He lost the bonus Agi and strength talents, which granted were boring, but they were very strong. Now he gets spell lifesteal and static link stealing armor, which can potentially be pretty good. And the link is less bursty now. So it's overall, it's mostly a nerf, because the total amount you can reach does increase a little bit. 200 versus 176 damage stolen, but it takes significantly longer to get there. This is one of those changes that's just like, what the fuck, man, why? Rubik, pretty gigantic buffs. This cooldown change to telekinesis is huge. People forgot this spell used to be very, very broken. It's kind of been slept on for a long time, many years, but now 15 seconds cooldown. This makes it easy to use multiple times in a fight. The new spells reach you quicker. Overall, this talent is moved. Yeah, Rubik got some pretty big buffs. SK, this is again, the level 2 SK Burrow Strike deals 10 damage more. This is purely to make it consistent, but it's more like a mistake that somebody else made before, right? It used to be plus 50, plus 70, plus 60, now it's plus 60 at all levels, but that's it. This was kind of weird. in theory, illusions should deal more damage early, less late, but I feel like it's meant to be a buff, but it's actually a nerf. And this made me mad when I read this. This is the equivalent of clickbait, of rage bait, putting this in the patch notes. Why? This has happened many times, and it was never phrased like this before. It was always base edge increased, in brackets, base damage remains the same, or base damage unchanged. Why would they phrase this? This is just to like make you be like, what the fuck? Because base damage decreased by 5, that almost never happens, and it only happens if the hero's insanely overpowered, because it's a gigantic nerf for any hero. SF especially would be downstairs if this were the case, but yeah, so it's just some clickbait. It gets 5 attack speed. Again, it feels like let's just have Shadow Fiend be part of the patch notes, even though we don't know what to do with him, so we're not actually want to change him. This can be nice, goes up to like 30, but for the rest, whatever. 1 armor, literally unkillable, pretty tanky. Silencer, again, got the magic instead of pure damage is a huge nerf, even though he benefits from those new items. Core Silencer just has way too many issues, and I don't think a couple of new items gonna change that. Slaughter, again, these changes for the sake of some change. 25 radius, okay. Same shit, dude. 0.2, okay. Careful, guys. Every 5 levels, Slark is gonna have 1 more strength and 1 more agi than before. 5 damage on Shredder. This one is pretty relevant though. More Kisses plus 40. It's not uncommon to land many of these on the same target, so actually significantly boosted DPS on this ulti. Spectre nerfed as expected, not that much though, but that 1 health regen is costly because she really needs that. Bara, I feel like this was meant to be a nerf, of course, but it actually isn't that much and could even be a buff, because long story short, the charge speed, which was very strong, is now 25. Okay, you're gonna see that a bit later, but what you are gonna see at level 20 is the 400 all damage barrier, which is not a weak talent by any means. We'll have to see. This storm change, I don't know. The Remnant, cool. Small buff, but attack range on Storm for a talent? Why? You're trying to jump people. Your spell, one of your spells is literally melee range. Actually, 2 of your spells are literally melee range, and you have an ulti. Why do you need attack range? So weird. And it's only when overloaded. Like, it's like some support Storm bullshit to buff your allies' snipers' attack range with the shard for 3 hits. Like, come on. Say more of this bullshit. 3% move speed. Irrelevant changes. Techies takes less damage from the blast off. Almost nothing at this point. Makes him stronger early. This is a small little change again, but I think it might tip people into realizing TA Ags is OP. I think it's really strong, and yeah, just people aren't really playing around with it enough. The wave follows him, kind of like Shiva's, so you can actually do Terror Wave transform into blinking into the fight to instantly fear everybody, which is kind of cool. Because before it was slow and clunky, now it can be instant. But for the rest, I don't think it's too... Losing the health talent hurts him, but meta cooldown is nice. Fucking fluff, 15 mana cost lowered. Timber, small buffs to strength. Reactive armor is a little bit better, but it's really like you cannot. Reactive armor is one of these spells you can't read the numbers and get a feel. Like you have to play a couple Timber games to realize, okay, at this level of armor I can tank this and that or not. What the fuck is going on with Tinker? I'm not a fan. People don't like this hero, okay, but do you have to like these nerfs are really massive. Like you can't play this without lens now, and I guess it's to make up for the what is he like? I don't think he makes use of the new item that well, and magic resistance on the rearm, right? So it's like a supposed buff to the Battle Tinker that jumps in. No, I still feel it's weird. Pretty nice buffs to Tiny, just significantly more damage on 3 and toss. 3 hits and tosses. 3 and move speed nerfed was necessary. Troll, you can now receive orders with an Ovatory. I don't know, man. Rework this guy. This is... it's too much. Like, give this hero a break. And this shit is some weird... like, they're trying to add some weird gimmicks instead of just fixing the hero by changing his ult. Tusk Punch does a little bit more damage early, but a little bit less damage late. Quality of life upgrades to Underlord, cast point slightly better. I think the Fiend's Gate would be, it's nice to move around, to react to stuff, because usually like you want to be fast with this, and it makes a difference. Buff slash nerfs to Undying, but they're small. Ursa Region's a bit more. This one is big. Instead of damage percentage reduction buff, now it grants a barrier, the swap. This is pretty big because it means you can actually now quite reliably, I think, with level 3 swap somebody and then blink back, because you get a 450 damage barrier, which means your blink isn't gonna get cancelled easily. So this seems like a pretty significant buff, and not to mention the barrier is also nice for the guy that you're saving, of course. And even offensively, it's way more damage than before. Veno Fluff. 2% less damage on the talent for bonus. 2% less slow on the talent for bonus slow. Okay. Big one. Toxin doesn't break now, it slows attack speed, but Viper Strike breaks. Now, if Viper Strike being an ultimate piercing BKB means the break also pierces BKB, that's a pretty significant buff, I would say. And it's nice. Plus Nether Toxin. Now, it is a nerf in some situations, right? Like, there were some interactions, you know, you put Toxin, Shaker can't jump you because he has no Aftershock. So that part is but the attack speed slow is also gonna make him a better laner, right? Like, it's gonna be hard to just... usually what you do versus Viper is you wanna step in the Toxin, get the last hit and step out. Now, that's harder. You need to spend longer. This one, I have to see it play out, but I feel like this is a very, very, very big buff. Because it just means you're getting way more, way more. Like, there are a lot of sources of reductions in this game. And being calculated before means you're just getting a lot more charges, a lot more easily. And combined with this talent, like Visage Machine Gun, with the new Phylactery item, maybe even, could be nice. This makes me mad. This hero deserves some real changes, not this fluff bullshit. Warlock minus 2 strength, who cares? Nothing changes with Weaver until he's hit level 25. So, okay, thanks Val. Wind Ranger gets nerfed, okay, I can agree with the nerfs, but what is this? Like, why add all this? Power shot slows. What's the point of a channeled skill shot slowing if it lands? Right? Like, I just don't see the logic. Like when are you supposed to use this? Charge the power shot from far away so you close the gap to shackle. Like, feels awkward and I don't know. Happy to be proven wrong, but I feel like this is weird and useless. Because Power Shot is a finishing spell, it's not an initiating spell. Strange. And if you do initiate it, you do it just to cancel daggers. And then you don't channel it at all. And then going by the description, that means it's not going to slow at all. So yeah. Winter, small buff to the cast range, but it's a big deal because this 100 from 7 to 800 really makes it significantly easier to use. But still, Wyvern has a lot of other problems which aren't addressed. But yeah, this hero is it's nice. It has a place in this game. Like, it can scale massively as a core. if you don't get destroyed in the lane because you're super weak. Roll back on the damage of Voodoo Restoration. Can't tell you guys how many times I've had my blink cancelled by this guy, even though I was in this, for example, because I kept forgetting that the heal does damage. Raid King, dumpstered, rightfully so, anti-fun, way too much, way too high win rate, way too easy to play. Fuck that cooldown. I mean, it's playable, but unkillable status, right? Like, the lowest you can get the cooldown is still over 100. With Ags. Without Ags is 2 minutes. But I think that's reasonable, honestly. I've seen enough Raid King lately. Bolt does double creep damage. You can secure ranged easily, one-shot it with level 2 Bolt. Late game it helps with clearing creeps with the AoE Bolt talent, but not like Zeus had any issues with that, because that's what you have Arc Lighting for, so seems a weird change as well. Alright, suppose I can show you guys real quick the new Mars, the ease of the Mars Arena combo now. Watch me fail it. So just need a dagger to simulate a real scenario. So you see it's very easy because the backswing on this is much lower now. And the cast points are also much faster on both spells, I believe. So you can get this pretty much every time. And this is very nice because it means you can actually jump heroes like you know, Spirits and Puck and etc. These mobile heroes. So that's the Mars, and I want to show you the Gyro call down. Pretty sweet. As Gyro fan, easier to hit a bunch of people. So you gotta make sure he's at the edge, and then he gets hit by both rockets. So you can see that's 500 damage at level 1, and if the spell is maxed, it's 1.1k. I mean, it's a tanky Centaur, right? Obviously, doesn't take as much, but yeah, it's good. It's nice. And you can globally with the talent clear creep waves, which not many heroes can. It's not the biggest deal, but it's not irrelevant either. Alright, so hope you guys enjoyed this. Make sure to join my Discord, SlashStrike.com. That's all I'm gonna ask. Not gonna talk about any of the forbidden words starting with S and U and L and I and that kind of stuff. Just join my Discord if you're interested in coaching, if you're interested in infographics, extra content, anything else you may want. It's all there. You can message me, we can chat directly. Just join it, SlashStrike.com. Also, this Sunday, be hosting a group class. If you're interested in coaching and you want to do it in a group setting, it's much cheaper than one-on-one coaching as well. Make sure to tune in. The topic is how to not throw the game, how to close out the game effectively without throwing high ground. But we're also going to be covering the new patch, of course, because, well, it just came out and everybody's interested in that too, naturally. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.